Ladies and gentlemen, hey, hi, how you doing? Welcome back to the channel. Thank you so much for stopping by. Coming up here pretty soon, honestly, we are finally going to see the return of Verdansk in Warzone. We've actually got more solidified details on the return of Verdansk now, but I also wanted to talk about this just general update based off of all the information we now have via official confirmations with countdown timers, various different leaks and rumors regarding what the map is going to be like, but then also things that are maybe a little bit more concerning looking forward to the future. You know, once Verdansk launches, what happens after that? Should there be certain expectations here and there? So as mentioned, we now have a much more solidified timeline on Verdansk. Previously, it was leaked via the Ghost of Hope very credible track record when it comes to insider information and leaks that Verdansk was going to be returning with season 3. Now, this information was leaked back during season 1, which felt like it was never going to end, and so it seemed like it was pretty far out. But now that we have season 2 live, we of course now can see the battle pass countdown timer, which tells us when season 2 is going to end and when season 3 is going to start. Now, of course, it's always possible that something is delayed and that timer does change in some capacity, and if that happens, we'll be covering that in the future, of course. But as of right now, the current countdown timer on the battle pass says that season 2 is going to be ending on March 20th, which would then imply season 3 is starting on March 20th, and that is when the return of Verdansk is going to happen. Very conveniently, just 10 days after the 5-year anniversary of Warzone launching. The game, of course, dropped and first launched back on March 10th, 2020. So now we'll end up seeing March 20th, 2025 as the return of Verdansk. So we have a much more set in stone date now. It's not, oh, sometime in the spring, sometime for season 3, whenever that might be. We have that a little bit more solidified. So truthfully, not all that far out, right? Just a couple of weeks out at this point. A few more updates for season 2 and we'll be at the end of it, quite frankly, right? Season 2 Reloaded's coming up here soon, and then shortly after that, season 3 arrives. Now, we do have a few added details on Verdansk itself that have been leaked, in the past via insiders like Tom Henderson over at Insider Gaming, or once again, the Ghost of Hope. As of right now, these are still just leaks and rumors, so take them with a grain of salt. But again, coming from people with credible track records, the return of Verdansk is supposedly going to be with a quote-unquote fan favorite version of Verdansk. This has been the long-running rumor for the state of the map when it comes back. However, fan favorite is a very much so subjective term. Some people might say the best version of Verdansk was in Cold War Warzone, where we had Nakatomi Tower and everything going on there. Other players might say it was the haunting of Verdansk. You know, others might say it was season 5 of MW 2019 when they opened up the roof of the stadium and adjusted the map that way, right? Like, fan favorite can mean a bunch of different things. But also, it's been reported that the version of Verdansk that's returning is also going to be new in a sense. It's not going to be any of the versions that we've seen of Verdansk in the past, because they're actually adding to the map. They are changing the map. The Ghost of Hope actually reported that Fringe from Black Ops 3, the multiplayer map, is going to be on Verdansk in some capacity, maybe as a part of a larger POI, maybe as its own individual thing. It might not even be named. It might just be a building placed on the map that is a recreation, or a set of buildings, I guess, that is a recreation of the map Fringe. But this does sort of indicate that Verdansk coming back in its OG form, you know, any kind of OG Verdansk update or OG Warzone 1 update seems less likely, and it's more of just an updated and an adapted version of Verdansk coming to modern Warzone. So that in and of itself, I think, is going to have some people feeling some type of way. Some players will just be content with seeing Verdansk back and having a map that they're mostly familiar with and that we've come to learn plays pretty well in comparison to some other big maps that we've seen throughout Warzone's history. You know, we begged and begged and begged for them to change Verdansk and to give us a new map after almost 2 years of playing it. Then they've dropped new map after new map, whether it was, Al Mazrah or Urzikstan or whatever else, Caldera, and it's like, yeah, can we just get Verdansk back? Players aren't too thrilled with the newer maps, right? They want what they had back in Warzone 1. But what they had back in Warzone 1 is very, very different from what we have now. You know, quality of life updates that we had back in Warzone 1, where ascenders were very, very slow, where we didn't have zip lines connecting large points of interest or large gaps between points of interest where you could quickly navigate those. Other different quality of life updates that have since been added to the game, even, you know, back from Caldera, that have slowly made their way back into the game now since, of course, Warzone 2 had to reset everything. A lot of the core mechanics of Warzone, you can talk, you know, as specific as movement, with Omni movement now versus slide canceling and bunny hopping being a thing back in Warzone 1. All of that fundamentally feels very, very different, and that will compound on Verdansk and really change up how the map feels and how gameplay feels on this map. So you have probably in your mind that memory of what Verdansk was, what Warzone 1 was like. And while yes, the map is going to be nostalgic in and of itself for a lot of reasons, even if they do change several different POIs and change the flow of it a little bit, the gameplay is not going to be necessarily one-to-one, unless of course they surprise us with some changes and they do try and bring back significant quality of life updates, recreating that classic gameplay with how movement feels, bunny hopping, slide canceling, stuff like that. Like the recent season 2 patch notes sort of teased that bunny hopping should have been returning, and then in application it doesn't feel anything like it. You know, vehicle mechanics, the way that vehicles drive in Warzone now is just so bad. I hate how vehicles feel now. They felt so easy back in Warzone 1. Floating loot, things of that nature. If they try and recreate that gameplay with a seasonal update, for one, I'd be surprised, but that'd be the closest thing to actually bringing back Warzone in an OG state. You know, you compare this to Fortnite, which is, I think, probably the main reason that Verdansk is finally happening. Fortnite did OG, you know, the OG season or whatever it was, right? They brought back the original map and original gameplay, and it blew up. The game reached new player count peaks. Call of Duty saw that and was like, hey, let's bring back Verdansk. But then the game is so different now, and the way that it plays is so different now, that even if Verdansk returns, it's going to be hard to recreate what we had. And then you have to look beyond just the launch of Verdansk, right? Like when it returns with season 3, yeah, I assume for that first week or two, Warzone's going to have pretty large player count increases, right? Everyone's going to come back just to see what Verdansk is like. I think a lot of players will probably realize, oh, it's not one-to-one. Yeah, this isn't Warzone 1, although the cheating situation is pretty similar, right? They're going to see that it's not exactly what they remember. It's cool to revisit those POIs and play the map again, but it's not what they love about Warzone. That same feeling is going to be tough to recreate, and so it might hold them for a week or two, but then it's like, you know, I've experienced this, I'm good for now. They're probably not going to get a sustained player base over long term simply because they bring Verdansk back. They have to do way more to improve the quality and the state of the game when it comes to combating cheaters, fixing the servers, hit reg, everything going on there, making the game more playable from a bug standpoint, not having so many glitches, right? But then beyond that first initial launch period, where yes, there will be a resurgence of players, what does Verdansk do for Warzone? Because in and of itself, it's not going to save the game, like I just mentioned. But then what's going to happen with Urzikstan? Is Verdansk coming through and fully replacing Urzikstan? Does that mean that ranked play is now going to be back on Verdansk for the first time? That could be pretty cool. That's going to be a new way to experience the map for sure, something that we've never had before. Is that going to happen though? Do they switch back to Resurgence ranked play while they tune it for Verdansk? You know, what's the game plan there? Are they going to experiment around finally with Battle Royale map rotations so that you could play both Verdansk and Urzikstan if you wanted to? But then what happens when Avalon comes around with Call of Duty 2025 and the Warzone integration there? Are we only going to have Verdansk for season 3, 4, 5, and 6, and then Avalon comes through, then that replaces Verdansk? So all these years and years of waiting, the map is only around for, you know, a couple of months, and then it's replaced by another new map, and then we're just left saying, oh, can we get Verdansk back if people don't like Avalon, right? There is a lot of concern there long term what the plan is for Verdansk too. Another thing, though, that I think they are almost kind of specifically saving for the return of Verdansk that I think is kind of convenient is that anti-cheat update. We obviously had one with season 2. Could you feel it? Because I don't know if I could. I can't confidently say I noticed a distinct difference in the cheating situation from season 1 to season 2. I haven't run into many cheaters, but I've seen plenty of clips and plenty of issues with them. They do say, though, with season 3 and beyond, a multitude of new tech, including a brand new system to authenticate legit players and target cheaters, is coming. And they'll detail that as we get closer to season 3. But coinciding with Verdansk, we are going to see a major anti-cheat update. That could be something that they know Verdansk is going to bring back players, so they kind of have to nail the anti-cheat update there. Although I feel like that pressure's been on them for a long time, and it's yet to be in a situation where you can say, hey, they nailed that anti-cheat update, right? to me, as excited as I am for Verdansk, truly I am looking forward to going back and visiting it again and playing on this map again. I think there are a lot of things to be worried about or concerned about, or at least be hesitant about, long term with the return of this map and what goes beyond just the hype of it launching for the first 1 or 2 weeks. But that being said, that is going to wrap things up for this one. As we do approach the launch of Season 3, we are, of course, going to see more and more details on Verdansk surface. I have to imagine Season 2 Reloaded is probably going to have a lot of leaks in regards to Verdansk, so we'll have plenty to talk about with this map in the coming days and weeks. If you want to stay in the know with all of that and then everything else going on in COD on a daily basis, feel free to hit that subscribe button, turn on those post notifications, and if you enjoyed this video, a like rating on your way out would be seriously appreciated. But once again, thank you so much for tuning in, and until next time, take it easy, have an awesome rest of your day, and I'll catch you later. Peace out.